Hey everybody, this is Kevin, your host for Kevin's Korner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective, number 63, segment number 2. So, I told you I had a special guest today, a first-timer that I met 4 days ago, 3
A
days
week.
ago.
I met you last Friday.
Last Friday, okay. That's how fast my days go by. So, this is Morgan. She is with Emerson Property Management.
Yes.
Which everybody knows that knows me. This is where I came from in real estate. So, for me, this is kind of cool. I like talking to other property management companies. But go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Morgan, like he mentioned. He was spot on. I'm 27.
Really?
Born and raised in Houston, yes. With Emerson Property Management. But I'm their new business development manager.
Yeah.
Got hooked up with Kevin. He grew a really great property management company back in the day before Stewart Title, and
It wasn't that long ago. So
not that long in the day. Sorry, not back in the day. But he was working with some of my colleagues, and they got us connected now. And I'm ready to learn all the tips.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about that real quick? So, your boss, who is
Margot Brofton,
and the owner,
Cameron Tope.
So Margot used to be the property manager. The managers of the property managers for Empire Industries, which is where I worked for 5 years. And now she went to Emerson.
And is now our director of operations.
Right.
She's been in property management since 1981. So we're
Operations
super lucky.
manager. That was probably what I should have said. And Cameron, I ran into at I'm going to give her a plug, Rachel Allen, one of her happy hours. And I was standing there, and someone kept poking me in the back, and I turned around, and it was Margot. Hadn't seen Margot in like 2 years. So that's where you're from.
Yes.
And all of these people that we're talking about know my previous bosses, Steve Rosenberg and Pete Newbig, who
I saw at NARPM yesterday.
Pete?
Yeah, I told him that.
Another ball-headed guy?
Yeah, I was seeing you.
You told him that you would come to hang out with me?
I told him that I met you on Friday the week before, yeah.
I'm just aghast at what did he say?
He said, how was it? I said, amazing. He taught me so much. No, I told him that it was great and that I was going to meet Steve at his next thing.
Yeah. Pete, if you're watching this, you're a great guy. Steve, you know how I feel about you. But so let's talk about you. Tell everybody, since you are, a lot younger than me and Demetria.
You wouldn't know
it. What were you doing before you got into property management?
So I've been in sales for service industry, sales ever since after school. I was just like you, went to school and did something totally different kind of prior. I went to Texas Tech for an education major, and I wanted to be a teacher. Yes, I love kids. I've worked with kids, nannying and prep type schools and all of that through college, but got a sales job really right after and have been in that ever since. Spa sales, dental, really always service type.
So is your degree an education degree?
It is, yeah.
So do you ever see yourself going back and falling on that?
Probably not now with these days and times.
Really?
I mean, maybe.
You can't get rich being a teacher. But,
not even that, but just a lot of different things. But I've really just fallen in love with sales and relationship building as well. So I still get my kid time with friends and family and all of that stuff. So it's kind of a best of both worlds for me.
And so now you are the business development officer?
Manager of Emerson Property Management, yes.
So tell everybody what that means. What do you do?
So I'm here to get all of the great word out about Emerson. Cameron Tope, the owner, actually is an investor himself. He started Emerson, which is really the cool thing about us, because property management, I hear and now know, is such a pain in the rear end, honestly. And there's not a lot of good property management companies out there.
There's hundreds of property management companies, and maybe 5 that
are good and know what they're doing. And we're one of them, I can promise you, because he's an investor himself. He got his first investment property actually back in 2013 and was looking for third property management for his portfolio of almost 40 back in 2016. So he grew quite a bit in a short period of time. Couldn't find anything that lined up with his needs and values of what mattered to him with handing over his properties. And Emerson kind of accidentally started like that in 2018. And now we manage over 300 doors across Houston.
Nice.
With no business development in hand. So that was all word of mouth and them just doing a really good job. Margot being amazing. And now I'm here to help grow it some more.
So with you here, within the next couple of years, you guys should double your doors.
I mean, quadruple.
Quadruple. There you go. Awesome. So tell everybody a little bit about Emerson Property Management. And what I mean by that is, if I called you because I have a property that needs to be managed, what's next? What do you tell them? What tell everybody about your program.
So I can always do a free consultation with any owner to give them kind of like you said, the step-by-step next process and the expectations from the start. But basically we're full service property management. So we can do the leasing, listing and advertising of their properties if vacant. If they already have a tenant in place, we can take it occupied and go ahead and just start management as well. But because Cameron built it, again, we have some unique things about us compared to other property management companies that we just run a little differently. For instance, we're flat fee instead of a percentage of the rent for their management fees. We like to just get them locked in at that one fee forever and not raise it every year. Obviously, we're going to be raising rent on tenants and trying to get them more cash flow. So we don't do that percentage-based management service fees either. So that's a little different.
And then you also have an agent referral program, don't you?
We do. We have an awesome agent referral program, $350 per unit for any occupied units that we would take on. Again, tenant already in place and just management. But if it is vacant and we do the leasing and managing, we'll give the agents $1,000 per unit. And we will manage up to 4-unit, multi-unit property, so that could be up to $4,000.
So if you're a real estate agent, you're watching this podcast, I need you to understand what she just said. Every door you refer to them, if you get to manage and you get to lease it out, the agent gets $1,000.
And we have a 30-day lease guarantee. So again, some unique things about us because Cameron has built it. We will lease their property within 30 days at a correct rental comp listing number, of course, but we will do that or cover their first 2 months of management services. So that's huge. We don't want it to just sit vacant and lose out on that cash flow or possible rent for the property owners either. So we have tons. I mean, I've seen already tons of agents that have had it listed for 50 plus days and nothing biting and then send it over to us. They still got to try, but once they do, they still get the $1,000 for sending it over and us doing the leasing after.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last time we talked, you also have a tenant placement guarantee.
If we place that tenant, they go through an extremely strict criteria screening with us. So if we place that tenant and they were to ever first, our eviction guarantee, get evicted for any reason, we will cover up to $1,000 of the legal fees for the owner. Typically, in small claims, if nothing goes completely crazy, it's around $500 to $600, so that can cover it. But also a tenant placement guarantee, like you mentioned, if they were to break the lease or get out of it for any of the legal reasons that they can, whatever it may be, we will release the property at the cost of Emerson, not the owner, and obviously get a new qualified tenant in place.
And that's only if you guys place the tenant.
Of course.
If an agent comes to your property management company and already has a tenant for a property, the tenant placement guarantee doesn't go into effect. Correct?
No, because we did not place that.
Because you didn't screen them.
Yes.
Earlier when we were talking about what makes you different and things you do, you said you were full service. I don't think I heard you mention maintenance.
We do all maintenance. So we have a vendor pool of over 50 companies, very trusted and all screened and going through our vendor application process and everything as well. But some of them have worked with Cameron for the 10 years of his investment properties. And with our over 300 doors are at full capacity with our work at this time. So we get really the best pricing and highest priority A couple studies they did last year was across the portfolio, we averaged 2 to 3 maintenance requests per property. We do a really good job of making the make ready and turnover process just what it should be. They're not sent out every few weeks or month. But out of that 2 to 3 maintenance requests, we averaged the work order price of $172. So again, really good pricing. Obviously for 2 to 3 times, that was about maybe 600 or so over the year. And,
spread out over 12 months.
Yeah, spread out over 12.
$25-$30 a month.
Exactly. So we do a good job to keep the owners in a good place.
And you guys manage the whole maintenance process, right?
Yeah.
So if a tenant calls you, they don't call the owner?
No, the tenant will never talk to the owner. So
Okay.
we're a complete point of contact. They'll have their appointed property manager, the owner and tenant, and have separate portals through Property Meld for all of our maintenance. But the owner will always have 24/7 access to check the status of repairs on those. Yes.
And how much is your reserve for maintenance?
$400. So
Okay.
anything less than $400 will get someone out immediately. We do keep our KPI for the maintenance request to time addressed under 3 days, 4 days absolute tops. So again, anything less than 400, which we're usually averaging, like I mentioned, we'll get someone out just really quick to keep that tenant satisfied. Anything more is whenever we'll get the multiple invoices and owners more involved.
Yeah, you'll let the owner know.
But our tenant renewal rate is 85%, or was last year, and they're averaging to stay 3 or 4 years time. So we do that with keeping the maintenance taken care of.
Awesome. And tell everybody, if you're basically looking at a map, from where to where to where to where do you manage properties?
All over Houston. I mean, our rule of thumb is about an hour from downtown, but we'll go as north as Conroe, south as Galveston, west. I mean, we have a ton in Katy, but we'll go a little bit further than that. And then east, I would say we don't really go all the way out to Beaumont, but maybe a little bit more.
Baytown, though?
Or yeah, we will go to Baytown.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how Emerson generates leads. And now that they've hired you, obviously that's part of your job description, but what has Cameron done up until now to market the business?
I know that they have, obviously, or we have a Facebook page, LinkedIn page. Cameron has an amazing YouTube channel that everyone definitely go check out. Yes, YouTube is definitely on. He has like a copious amount of videos on there. I think one every 2 weeks for almost the last 6 years, with just a ton of investment knowledge. So anyone watching, investor or real estate, investor-friendly agents, anyone looking for more knowledge on that, he has videos on everything from the good and bad deals and stories that he's had over his investment times, tenant turnover pros and cons. There's a video for everything. So.
Did you ever do one on tenants, toilets, and turmoil?
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised
if he did. He got it from us.
Oh, really? Well, then maybe not.
Yeah. So, but bring that up. You should do that. Let's talk about real quick. And I always mention this to agents. If you're a real estate agent and you're not working with real estate investors, you should. But you can't approach a real estate investor the same way you do a traditional home buyer.
Nope.
Because what do real estate investors only really care about?
Cash flow.
Numbers.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't care what color the walls are. They don't care if there's 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. That doesn't matter. Okay?
Run this comp, and is it going to get the number I want?
Exactly. So an investor is going to approach you as an agent and say, I have, in today's numbers, $300,000 that I want to use to invest in a new investment property, and I want a 3% cash return every month. If you can you find a house that fits that model, I'll buy it. They don't care what it looks like. They don't care where it is. Yep. That's the only stipulation. When I was in property management, we used to use, and you probably do, if you don't, I'll give it to you, cash flow spreadsheet. So what we could do is all of the numbers of everything that anybody would ever need to know when you buy an investment property, are already on the spreadsheet, and the equations are already built into the spreadsheet. So you put in the asking price up here, and you put in what your ROI needs to be, and you hit go, and it spits out
No, you haven't
all that.
shown me.
And so what you would do is an investor approaches you, or you can approach an investor, and you can tell an investor within 5 seconds if the property they're looking at is going to fit their business model.
Yeah.
Investors love that.
Oh, for sure.
Especially ones that don't have a regular real estate agent. But if you do use a ROI calculator, don't give it to the investor. If you give it to the investor, they don't need you anymore.
Yeah, just give them the results.
Just give them the results and go find them the property.
Exactly.
But again, we used to teach classes on how to work with investors, because I know a lot of real estate agents would call me and they'd be frustrated. I've been trying to work with this guy for 2 months and I haven't gotten him anything, and now he's ghosting me. And so we'd sit down and have a conversation about how they were talking to him and how they were handling the whole situation.
And they were treating him like a bias.
That was the reason.
Seller, yeah.
That was the reason, because you were treating them like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith buying their dream home. They don't care about that. So if you are seeing the podcast and you're interested in learning how to work with investors, contact Morgan, because she knows how to do it. And you can't, I've said this 4 times already, you can't treat them the same as a traditional buyer or seller. You'll lose them every time. So now that I got that off my chest, let's go back to marketing. What are some of the things that you're going to have Cameron start doing, or you're going to start doing for marketing-wise to market Emerson in the future?
I'm doing some sponsorships at some CE classes coming up to just kind of introduce myself and get the word out there a little bit. But I am going through becoming a CE provider as well to kind of help with some of those investor-friendly based agent classes to just kind of build value and help out more in the industry that way.
As soon as you get approved to teach those classes, I'll put you on my calendar.
Perfect.
The day you call me, I'll put you on the calendar.
But yeah, just networking events. I'm all over social media.
All over social media? What does it mean? What platforms?
I'm on. Cameron's very heavy on YouTube with his YouTube channel, like I mentioned, and it's Emerson Property Management's YouTube channel. But we have Emerson Facebook. I have my own business development Facebook, kind of growing that there as well. LinkedIn, Bigger Pockets.
Oh, wait. Number 2 nugget that's worth $1 million. If you're a real estate agent and you've never heard of Bigger Pockets,
get on it.
Go look it up.
Yes.
It is Facebook on steroids, but only for real estate related people, right? When I was in property management with Steve and Pete, our largest property management client, I found them on Facebook, on Bigger Pockets.
My very first PMA signed was from a Bigger Pockets lead.
So Demetria, everybody, biggerpockets.com, 2 G's.
They pay heavy for their Google advertisements or something, because they just find a lot of new investors and people getting just kind of newer into the industry. It must be the first thing that pops up when they look for a forum, and then they make an account and make a post. They have excellent
SEO, so that's why they're first thing.
Exactly.
But Bigger Pockets is basically a social media like site that you can go on, create an account, and you can post to it much like you can on Facebook. Now, unless they've changed.
It's a lot of forums. You have to be very educational and responsive, and
it's not pictures of your kids at McDonald's on the weekend.
No, it's definitely business based, but it's also not promotional. They have a classified separate forum where you can promote business, but it's a lot of just education, knowledge, learning, connecting, networking, but definitely a lot of knowledge. I mean, I've even learned a lot from Bigger Pockets since joining.
Letting people know you're the expert.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're posting on social media, you need to be posting on Bigger Pockets. Okay, now that I interrupted you, what was that? What else are you going to do?
That's good.
You guys already use the CRM, right?
Yes, we use Lead Simple.
Okay, we
don't love it.
Yeah, I know you don't. And you yourself are going to start doing videos, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I I'll ask you the same question I asked Demetria. If someone contacts you for the first time and they have a property that they need managed, how do you handle the first call, and how can they expect from you?
I'm going to ask them a few questions about their property. We do have just a couple of requirements or things that wouldn't fit into our portfolio. So make sure that obviously it's not one of those. But if not, then really the next step would be setting up a time for me to meet them at the property. If vacant, obviously, if there's a tenant in place, we can maybe meet somewhere nearby. But in person, I can go over everything, our entire process A to Z, answer any questions they have. Primarily, we would like to meet at the property, again, if vacant, so we can see the current condition of the home so I can get that perfect rental comp back for them. But yeah, just be able to get to know them a little better, find out what they're really looking for within property management, and let them know how Emerson can help. We'll set up a meeting.
For the investors out there, you do not have to be working with an agent in order to work with Morgan and Emerson.
No, we can definitely take it on, and do the leasing. It's all of our team is a Texas licensed real estate agents. But for that realtor referral program, something good to know, it's that $350 for occupied or $1,000 for vacant, but we never do any buying or selling transactions. We always send them back to you guys, and it's literally in our management agreement, section 25. They put the agent's name and license number and everything, so we send that back to you.
That's very important, real estate agents, because when I first got into property management in 2014 and I started going out and meeting agents, that was the first thing they said. We don't like property management companies. And it was because property management companies traditionally would steal their clients. You would refer us a property management client, we'd manage the property, and then the property manager would let us know, I'm going to sell, and the property management company would list the property, and then the agent would be like, well, wait a minute, that was my client. So they did what we did, which is basically they guarantee that if an agent refers the property to them and the owner decides to sell, you guys are going to contact the agent that referred it for first right of refusal to relist the property.
Exactly.
Okay? There's not too many property management companies, if maybe a couple, that do that. It's very important. Tell everybody, you already told everybody what social media platforms you're on. What's the Emerson property management website?
EmersonPropertyManagement.com. EMERSON propertymanagement.com. My number you can reach me at is 832-770-7090, and email is Morgan, MORGAN, at Cameron made all of our emails, EmersonPropertyManagement.com. So you'll have to type all that out. But Morgan at Emerson Property Management, you can reach me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you,
nice
Kevin.
Nice to meet you. We just meet you a way to go. So if you're looking for a great real estate agent, contact Demetrius. If you're looking for a great property management company, talk to Morgan. If you have any questions, give them a call. These guys are great at what they do in real estate and property management. And a lot of what Cameron is doing now, Cameron took from when I was at Empire Industries. So I know they're doing a great job because we were the fastest growing property management company in the country at the time. So Morgan with Emerson Property.
Emerson.
Emerson Property Management. Give me your phone number one more time.
832-770-7090.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. This is episode number 63 of Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective. Again, if you're watching and you're an agent or a vendor that operates in the Fort Bend County area and you want to be on the podcast, give me a call, 832-654-0527. And as always, thank you to Jennifer Smitis, Caitlin Korner, Devaney Devin, and Wendy Santana, and all my support team here at Stewart Title Sugar Land in Richmond. And I always end the podcast by saying, if you're a real estate agent and you're not using Stewart Title for title, shame on you. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Say bye.
Bye. Thank you.